This is your bedtime story. You might want to move over here if you want to see it, because it's right there. All right.
Everybody push in.
All right, push in. Get ready. All right. All right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. The history of ancient Egypt. Oh, just dump it everywhere. Okay. The history of ancient Egypt. Ancient Egyptians like to write in hieroglyphics and bury their dead pharaohs inside of pyramids that they built. Now, a great river ran through Egypt. It was the Nile.
No.
Yeah, and every year it flooded, which created fertile deltas that were very good for gardening. Now, the last pharaoh of ancient Egypt was, anybody know?
Cleopatra.
Yeah, you cheated. It was Cleopatra. Now, Cleopatra was part of the Ptolemaic dynasty. They were Macedonian. The Ptolemies ruled Egypt for about 347 years. The first Ptolemy came to Egypt with Alexander the Great, and they founded the city of Alexandria. Now, Cleopatra was the first Ptolemy to actually learn the Egyptian language. She knew about 12 languages. She was very smart. And when she was 18 years old, her father died and left her in charge with her little brother, Ptolemy the 13th, who she married. And he was 10 years old. The Ptolemies were really into incest. Now, Cleopatra and her little brother didn't actually like each other. I hate you. I made you a delicious cup of tea. No, thank you. They're always trying to kill each other. There's a lot of fussing and fighting. Meanwhile, Egypt was a client state of Rome. Now, the Romans were trying to take over everything, everywhere, all the time. Meanwhile, back in Rome, Julius Caesar was in charge. But his best friend, Pompey, had stolen his golden eagle standard. Pompey, why did you take my golden eagle standard? You make me so angry. We are best friends, but we are also rivals. There's lots of fussing and fighting and civil unrest. Now, eventually, Pompey went to Egypt to see what was going on there. Why is it so crazy? So he went to Egypt. And when he got there, Ptolemy the 13th had him killed. And he had his head pickled and preserved. And he saved it. And then Julius Caesar followed suit and went to Egypt to see what was going on. Why is it so crazy there? And Ptolemy the 13th presented Julius Caesar with Pompey's pickled head as a gift. He thought that it would appease him. I don't like this present very much. And he did not keep it. Now, Cleopatra went into hiding because her brother was trying to kill her, and she tried to raise an army off somewhere else. And when Ptolemy the 13th's back was turned, Cleopatra rolled herself up into a carpet or a rustic bag. Much like this one. And she had her servants carry her right past her brother's guards into Julius Caesar's sleeping quarters. And when no one was looking, she rolled out. "Hello, Julius Caesar. My name is Cleopatra. I need to talk to you." "Okay." "I should be in charge of Egypt, not my brother." "Okay." "I need to talk to you about the relationship between Egypt and Rome."
Okay.
Oh, shit.
And they started dating. And he became her boyfriend. And they were going steady. Now, at this time, Cleopatra was 21. And although Julius Caesar was 52 years old and had a wife back in Rome, he did not have an heir. He ended up staying in Egypt for about a year. And eventually Cleopatra had her little brother killed. And her two sisters as well. Now, eventually Julius Caesar went back to Rome. But Cleopatra was pregnant. And she gave birth to Julius Caesar's son and named it Caesarion. Now this child was the heir to Rome and Egypt. Now Cleopatra was a very good ruler, and for a few years she just stayed in Egypt, and she was a great ruler. She had her likeness put on not the $100 bill, but a penny, so more of her people could see her. Now eventually though, she started to miss Julius Caesar. So she had a party ship built, got on board, and sailed across the seas to Rome to show Julius Caesar his son. Now, the people of Rome were at once enamored of Cleopatra as well as horrified of her. She liked to wear pearls in her hair and golden jewelry, and she was the wealthiest person in the entire world. Look at all that gold. Julius Caesar had her likeness commissioned in a statue, and to this day it is still in the Temple of Venus. Now one day, Julius Caesar went to work. He worked in the Senate. It was March. His friend Brutus was there. "Caesar, I need to tell you something. Come a little closer. I need to talk to you about something." "Yes, my friend." "Oh, look over there, behind the palm tree. It's a monkey. It's got your golden eagle standard." "At you, Brutus." "Yes." And Brutus killed Julius Caesar on the Senate floor. And he died. Now, Cleopatra went back to Egypt with the pinecone baby. Meanwhile, the people of Rome were wondering who's in charge. Who's in charge? Was it Julius Caesar's nephew, Octavian? He wasn't very popular, but he was smart. Or was it Julius Caesar's best friend and right-hand man, Mark Antony? He was a great warrior, and when he wasn't off fighting battles and killing people, he liked to drink and party and ride around Rome in a chariot pulled by lions. He was a dreamboat. I hate you! They didn't get along. They were rivals. There was lots of fussing and fighting. Now, eventually, we'll have a truce. You go off and rule the eastern part of the empire. And that's what Mark Antony did. He went to a land near Tarsus. Now, at this time, Mark Antony was considered to be the incarnation of Dionysus. And Cleopatra also needed to talk to who was in charge of Rome. So she packed up an even more magnificent sailing vessel. This one had sails made of purple silk and oars made of polished silver. She sailed across the seas without the pinecone baby, and she went to the land near Tarsus. And then she invited Mark Antony over for an elaborate banquet, which lasted for a few days. They ate off of dishes made of gold. She invited all his officers and friends over. When they were done eating a meal, she just gave them the dishes made of gold, and she gave them each a horse. And her servants were dressed as cupids. Now, on the third day, Mark Antony invited her over to his tent for dinner. Yes, he lived in a rustic tent, and she went over. Mark Antony, I want to talk to you about the relationship between Egypt and Rome.
Again?
And it's a different person. And they started dating. They didn't just hook up, they started dating. And they were in love. Now eventually, Mark Antony followed her back to Egypt, to Alexandria, where she made him the manager of a local gymnasium and threw parades in his honor. Now this time, Cleopatra was considered to be the incarnation of Isis. Mark Antony was actually married to a woman back in Rome at this time who was
Mrs. Anthony.
Yes, Mrs. Anthony.
Octavian's sister. She looked just like him. I hate you. It made Octavian very mad. There was lots of fussing and fighting. Now, eventually, Cleopatra gave birth to twins. A boy and a girl with Mark Antony. She had 3 children with Mark Antony. But it made Octavian very, very upset, this whole thing. And he declared war. Although Egypt had always paid its tributes on time and in full, he declared war on Cleopatra. I hate you. And a great sea battle eventually ensued, and Mark Antony wasn't very good at sea battles, and they lost. And they went back to Egypt, where Mark Antony was very, very depressed and sad. And he killed himself with his own sword. But he kind of botched it. It took him like a day to die. His body was carried to a tomb where Cleopatra was waiting on the 2nd floor. His body had to be hoisted up with ropes. She said some spells and incantations, and then she summons the spirit of Miracula. Miracula, you must protect the pagans. The Romans are coming, they're going to bring monotheism and Christianity and try to get rid of the pagans. They don't like dancing and festivities. They only like animal sacrifices. And then she sprinkled them with mummy dust, which imbued them with magical powers. Protect the pagans. And then they flew off. Meanwhile, Cleopatra had an old man come to the tomb. He delivered a basket full of figs. Underneath the figs, there was an asp, which is a cobra, the symbol of Egypt. And she killed herself with it. Bit her on the chest and the arm. And then she died. Next chapter. Octavian went to the pyramid and turned it into a Bass Pro Shop. And then Miracula came up and said, Octavian, why did you turn the pyramid into a Bass Pro Shop? That's so mean. I only want to have animal sacrifices. Do you understand me? No more of these festivities and parties with crazy dancing and music by you pagans. Monotheism. We'll see you after the show. And then Miracula flew away to try to find someplace that would be safer for the pagans. Now, they went to the Bay Area. They'd heard there were all these crazy warehouse parties. But it had been taken over. The 60s were a long time ago. And then they went to New York City, which was also cost prohibitive. And they couldn't live there. So then they went to Gainesville, Florida. And they're like, maybe we can have a church or a lemon room or pub arts and a recording studio or maybe a ceramic studio. And so they started a secret clubhouse for the pagans who like to do all these fun things. And they had a big dance party. All the time. And they sprinkled everyone with mummy dust. And normally it was $40 a bag, but not here. It was free, and it imbued them all with magical powers. So they could have fun and do ceramics and have dance parties and start bands and dance all the time. And then the pyramid started spinning and spinning. They were recording so many cool songs for the pagans. It was just great. And then the pyramid exploded. And a mummy came out. And it started dancing around. And then another one came out. A big, fat, juicy mummy came out. Now, who do you think this one was? You've all been imbued with magical powers with the mummy dust. And if you concentrate, we can bring it back from the underworld. Concentrate. Now, who do you think it is? Concentrate.
It's Gigi!
No. And her clothes had dissolved in the embalming process. That's okay. She wanted to go swimming at Bob's River Place. And there was a big dance party.